Is diabetes really caused by what you eat? Could that small spoonful of sugar in your coffee or the sweet treat with your lunch every day be behind diabetes? If you're diabetic, did you know that even the fruit you consume could be a major villain in this story? There are some fruits that may seem healthy but are actually a real poison because they can raise your blood sugar. But it's not just about the total amount of sugar, it's about how fast that sugar hits your bloodstream. Some fruits, despite being sweet, don't cause rapid spikes in blood sugar. Others do. And for a diabetic, those spikes are what you really want to avoid. In today's video, I'm going to tell you about the 7 fruits that every diabetic should avoid at all costs. The last on our list is the worst offender. And to help you out, I'll also share which fruits you can substitute them with. Curious? Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's make this the most liked video on the channel ever. Do you or does anyone you know have diabetes? What part of the world are you from? After you've watched the video, drop a comment below. Let's look at the top 7 fruits that diabetics should stay away from. 1. Mangoes. Mangoes are delicious, but they're also sugar bombs. A single mango can have up to 30 grams of sugar. That's like eating 7 teaspoons of sugar in one sitting. And it's not just the amount of sugar that's the problem. Mangoes have a high glycemic index. That means the sugar in them hits your bloodstream really fast. For a diabetic, that sudden surge of sugar is dangerous. Mangoes are nutritious in other ways. They're full of vitamins and antioxidants. But for a diabetic, those benefits aren't worth the risk. What to eat instead? Berries. Strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, they're all good choices. They're sweet, but they have a low glycemic index. The sugar in them is released slowly into your bloodstream. Plus, they're packed with antioxidants and fiber. 2. Grapes. Grapes are nature's candy. They're small, sweet, and easy to eat by the handful. And that's exactly why they're dangerous for diabetics. A cup of grapes has about 15 grams of sugar. That might not sound like much, but it adds up fast. It's easy to eat way more than a cup of grapes without realizing it. And like mangoes, grapes have a high glycemic index. The sugar in them is absorbed quickly, causing a rapid spike in blood sugar. What to eat instead? Apples. They have sugar too, but it's offset by a lot of fiber. That fiber slows down the absorption of sugar, preventing rapid spikes in blood sugar. Plus, apples are convenient to eat and store well, just like grapes. 3. Pineapple. Pineapple is a tropical fruit that's loved for its sweet and tangy taste, but it is tricky. It's not as high in sugar as some other fruits. A cup of pineapple chunks has about 16 grams of sugar. That's less than a mango. But pineapple has a very high glycemic index. In fact, it's higher than white bread. That means the sugar in pineapple hits your bloodstream incredibly fast. For a non-diabetic, this isn't a big deal. Your body can handle the sugar spike. But for a diabetic, it's dangerous. What to eat instead? Kiwi. It's tangy and tropical, like pineapple, but with a much lower glycemic index. It's also packed with vitamin C and fiber. 4. Watermelon. Watermelon seems like it should be fine for diabetics. It's mostly water, right? And it's low in calories. However, watermelon has a surprisingly high glycemic index, nearly as high as pure glucose. That means the sugar in watermelon is absorbed incredibly quickly. The saving grace of watermelon is that it doesn't have that much sugar to begin with. A cup of watermelon has only about 9 grams of sugar. But because that sugar is absorbed so quickly, it can still cause problems for diabetics. What to eat instead? Cantaloupe or honeydew melon. They're similar to watermelon. Light, refreshing, and hydrating, but they have a lower glycemic index, so they won't spike your blood sugar as much. 5. Bananas. Bananas can be tricky. While they aren't extremely high in sugar, they still require some caution. A medium banana has about 14 grams of sugar. That's less than a mango, but bananas are high in carbs. And for a diabetic, carbs are just as important to watch as sugar. Those carbs get converted to sugar in your body. A medium banana has about 27 grams of carbs. That's a lot for a diabetic to handle at once. Plus, as bananas ripen, their glycemic index goes up. A very ripe banana can have a glycemic index as high as pure glucose. What to eat instead? Berries again. Or if you want something with a similar texture to bananas, try avocado. It's creamy like a banana, but with very little sugar and lots of healthy fats. Before we continue, I've got some exciting news to share. If you want to get more engaged, I'm excited to inform you that we now offer channel membership. As a member, you'll pay a small monthly fee and unlock some amazing perks, like early access to new videos, priority replies to your comments, members-only shorts, polls, quizzes, and special emojis and loyalty badges just for you. It's a fantastic way to support the channel and connect with us even more. Just click the Join button and let's make this experience even better together. 6. Cherries. Cherries are small, but they pack a big sugar punch. A cup of cherries has about 18 grams of sugar. That's more than a medium banana. And like grapes, cherries are easy to overeat. They're small and sweet, and it's easy to mindlessly pop them in your mouth. Cherries do have some benefits. They're full of antioxidants. But for a diabetic, those benefits don't outweigh the sugar risk. What to eat instead? Plums. They're similar to cherries, small stone fruits with a sweet tart flavor, but they have a lower glycemic index. Plus, they're bigger than cherries, so you're likely to eat fewer of them. 7. Dried fruit. Dried fruit is the worst offender of all. It's fruit with all the water removed, leaving behind concentrated sugar. A small box of raisins, the kind you might put in a kid's lunch, has about 25 grams of sugar. That's the same as a candy bar. And it's easy to eat a lot more than that small box. Dried fruit isn't just high in sugar, it's also highly glycemic. The sugar hits your bloodstream fast. Some dried fruits are worse than others. Dates can be especially problematic, as they are essentially sugar bombs. What to eat instead? Fresh fruit, always. If you need something portable like dried fruit, try nuts instead. They're easy to carry and snack on, but they're low in sugar and high in protein and healthy fats. So those are the 7 fruits diabetics should avoid. But this raises a bigger question. How do we figure out which foods are okay for diabetics and which aren't? It turns out there's a number for this. It's called the glycemic index, or GI. The glycemic index measures how quickly a food raises your blood sugar. The higher the number, the faster the spike. Pure glucose has a glycemic index of 100. That's the benchmark. Everything else is measured against it. Foods with a GI of 70 or above are considered high. Foods between 56 and 69 are medium. Foods 55 or below are low. For diabetics, lower is better. Foods with a low GI are digested and absorbed slowly. That means a slower, more gradual rise in blood sugar. But the glycemic index isn't perfect. It doesn't take into account how much food you're actually eating. That's where the glycemic load, or GL, comes in. The glycemic load takes both the glycemic index and the amount of carbohydrates in a serving into account. It gives you a more accurate picture of how a food will affect your blood sugar. A GL of 20 or more is high, 11 to 19 is medium, and 10 or under is low. This is why watermelon, despite its high glycemic index, isn't as bad as you might think. It has a high GI, but because it doesn't have that many carbs, its glycemic load is actually pretty low. On the other hand, something like a baked potato has both a high GI and a high GL. It's a double whammy of blood sugar spikes. But even the glycemic load isn't the whole story. There's another factor to consider: fiber. Fiber is a type of carbohydrate, but it doesn't raise your blood sugar. In fact, it can help slow down the absorption of other carbs. This is why whole fruits are generally better than fruit juices. The fiber in whole fruit helps offset the sugar. It's also why berries are such a good choice for diabetics. They're high in fiber relative to their sugar content. So when you're choosing fruits or any foods as a diabetic, you want to look at three things: glycemic index, glycemic load, and fiber content. The ideal fruit for a diabetic is low in GI and GL, but high in fiber. This is why berries are so often recommended for diabetics. They tick all the boxes. They're low GI, low GL, and high in fiber. But there's another factor that complicates things even further: individual response. Every person's body responds to food differently. What causes a big blood sugar spike in one person might not affect another person as much. This is why it's so important for diabetics to monitor their own blood sugar. You can read all the charts and indexes you want, but the only way to really know how a food affects you is to test your blood sugar after eating it. Some diabetics find they can eat small amounts of high GI fruits without problems. Others find that even low GI fruits cause spikes. It's also important to think about how you're eating fruit. Eating fruits as part of a meal, especially one with protein and healthy fats, can help slow down the absorption of sugar. For example, a few slices of apple with some peanut butter with no sugar added is a much better snack for a diabetic than a banana on its own. The protein and fat in the peanut butter help offset the carbs in the apple. The timing of when you eat fruit matters too. Eating fruit or any carbs first thing in the morning can cause bigger blood sugar spikes than eating the same food later in the day. This is due to something called the dawn phenomenon, where your body is naturally more insulin resistant in the early morning. So, if you're going to eat a higher GI fruit, it's better to do it as part of lunch or dinner rather than breakfast. All of this might seem complicated, and in a way, it is. Managing diabetes is a complex task. It requires constant attention and adjustment. But for a diabetic, eating shouldn't be about deprivation. It should be about making smart choices. And with the right approach, those choices can include plenty of delicious, nutritious fruits. Now, we want to hear from you. Are you diabetic? What fruits do you include in your diet? Share your experiences, questions, and tips in the comments. Let's build a community of knowledge about this powerful ingredient together. If you found this video helpful, please type yes in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next videos. Share with your friends and family so everyone can be aware of the fruits that diabetics should avoid. And before you go, check out these 2 videos we selected especially for you. I think you'll love them. Have a nice day and keep healthy, my friends.